The message comes through while you're standing in the damp hallway, looking at the water line on the wall. Bags are already packed. Someone tells you not to worry. Accommodation has been arranged. A hotel nearby. Everything will be covered while the house is dealt with. When you check in, it finally feels contained. Clean room, dry bed, a desk by the window. You're told to settle in. Take a breath. This is sorted now. 3 nights later, there's a note at reception asking you to call a number. They're telling you you'll need to check out tomorrow. At first, you assume it's an admin error. The house isn't habitable. Nothing has changed there. You explain that calmly. The person on the phone listens, then pauses. Says they just need to confirm a few things. That pause is where the safety thins. Because the hotel wasn't arranged to last until you could go home. It was arranged until someone decided you could manage differently. And that decision has just shifted. You're told the stay was approved for an initial period, that the situation is being reassessed, that alternative arrangements might now be more appropriate. No one says you shouldn't have been there. No one says the flood wasn't real. They just say the hotel won't continue. You look around the room differently after that. Temporary in a way it wasn't before. You replay the flooding, heavy rain overnight, water through the back door, the kitchen ruined. You reported it immediately. Photos sent, calls answered. The hotel was booked without hesitation. Nothing suggested this part was fragile. But now it is. They ask whether you have friends nearby, family, whether you could stay elsewhere for a bit. Each question sounds reasonable. Together, they move the burden sideways. What felt like protection now feels like a suggestion. You realize the hotel wasn't proof the situation was handled. It was a holding pattern. Another version of this happens when repairs take longer than expected. You're told the hotel is covered, for now. The drying takes weeks. Contractors are delayed. None of it is in your control. Then another call. The approved nights have run out. Not because the house is ready, but because the allowance is. You're still displaced, just no longer accommodated. Or it happens when the damage is reclassified. The flood is acknowledged, but the impact is narrowed. Certain rooms count, others don't. The hotel stay that arrived as certainty is reframed as support that's no longer justified. You're told to make plans. What unsettles you isn't being asked to leave the hotel. It's how confidently you were put there in the first place. The speed, the reassurance, the way it felt like the worst part was over. It wasn't. The hotel exists in a narrow window. It's not really about comfort. It's about buying time while the system works out what to do with you. And that timeline doesn't match the reality of rebuilding a home. By the time you're asked to check out, you've already adjusted, changed routines, learned the walk to the lift, trusted the room to still be yours tomorrow. Being asked to leave doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like the floor shifting again. You didn't cause the flood. You didn't overstay. You misunderstood what the hotel meant. It wasn't a solution. It was a pause. And the most uncomfortable part is why this works so well. You trusted the arrangement because it arrived immediately. Because help showed up before uncertainty. Because being moved somewhere safe feels like confirmation. But here, being moved didn't mean you were covered. It meant you were being held, temporarily. The hotel didn't disappear because your situation improved. It disappeared because your certainty was never part of the calculation. And the moment you finally slept properly was the moment the protection you relied on became easiest to withdraw.